Hi, I'm Eddie. I'm currently in Bangkok, Thailand. I've been here most of the year 2020 due to the pandemic, and I've taken advantage of the quieter times to travel. Wanted to buy a bike for a long time, bought the bike in February this year with a plan to using it to get around the city and around the country. So far I've done trips all the way from Bangkok to Hat Yai and back, down one coast, back up the other coast, and also up to Mae Hong Son, Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai. And I have to say the bike's really been brilliant. It's the ADV150 Honda. It's the 2020 year model. It's like the PCX150, same engine I believe, a little bit more rugged, better suspension, and pretty much the same power. Overall it's been fantastic. The build quality's great, and the ride comfort's not too bad, 2 to 3 hours at a time on the bike, but also the load carrying capacity's good, suspension's good, and all round I'm very happy with it. I think I made the right choice. Okay, it's not particularly fast for the highway, but you're not going to be on the highway all the time. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give us a little review of the bike, the various features, and my thoughts on the different elements of the bike. The design comes in about 4 colors. There's white, there's a bronze color, and there's this silver gray color. There's a red one as well. At the very bottom we've got front tire, or front wheels 14 inches with a 110/80 tire on it. These are new tires, and it's got regular shock absorbers. They're conventional, they're not the upside down shocks. I was a bit surprised they hadn't put the upside down shocks on it, but they have done on some of their other models. It's got a disc brake, double piston caliper there, just the typical Japanese Nissan brand, plenty powerful, but it's also got ABS on it as well. I've never had the ABS come on yet, even on gravel, but I'm fairly cautious. But I can imagine if it was in the wet and it was an emergency situation, then the ABS could be the difference between staying upright or not. The shocks, suspension wise, a little bit soft out of the factory, but they cope with most stuff. I mean, the handling was good, but I've actually had an upgrade set put in here, a new valve system inside it, which changes the damping. So it's the same grade oil and it's the same quantity oil. You never want to put too much oil in because you'll blow the seals. But this modification was done by a company called Set by Sar in northern Bangkok, Chok Chai 4 Road, and they did a good job. That was 2,900 baht for the upgrade, and it makes it just a little bit better. There's not so much chance of it bottoming out or anything like that. So back to the tires. They're tubeless tires. Seems pretty standard now on a lot of new bikes over here. The lights there, they're very good at night, high low beam, and you've got a little fairing here which is adjustable. Pop this out, and this one here, so the fairing will actually rise up a little bit higher. So I'll try and get it on the film. I've released the clip, but basically it's got 2 positions and it just slots down like that. It's very good at deflecting the wind on the faster roads, and if there is any rain as well, it puts the rain right up above you, so that's very good. So the controls on it, it's a keyless system. Well, I'm not a great fan of it, I have to say. There's the remote key fob, you've got an alarm on it as well. As long as this is in your pocket or somewhere near the bike, you can start it and go. I just wish they put a regular key on it. It's completely, in my opinion, it's completely unnecessary. It just adds to the cost and it's just more hassle. It's got a lock on it, it's got an alarm on it as well. 2 sections there, so you've got the fuel, which opens up there, and the tank is about 8 litres total. I think it's just squeezed in just under 8 litres, but I was very concerned about it running out of fuel. 91 octane I think is recommended. I put 95 in just to be absolutely sure. Never had any problems, nice and smooth. And then there's a seat release here. If I turn that back on, seat release there. Lots of space under the seat. I keep things like wet weather gear, a high vis bib, a couple of tools, a pump there should I get a flat tire. I've got a tubeless repair kit as well, shopping bags and other bits and pieces here with bungees, more cords and that. It's always good to have stuff like that. It will take, if you don't have all this rubbish, it will take I'm pretty sure a full face helmet in here. Certainly it will take a open face helmet, and there's some tools there that come with the bike. You've got your manufacturer's instruction book and service book there as well, and this is watertight pretty much. I've been through some pretty heavy rain. The seal around the outside, it's got rubber down here as well, and once this is closed up, absolutely nothing's getting in there water wise. When I was touring, I had my laptop computer and various other stuff under there, and it never got wet at all. Not the same for me though. Soaked. Right, so we'll carry on around the bike. Maybe I'll show you the controls next. That's probably a good thing. So it's got the stop start system on it again. I'm not a fan of it. There's a brief split second when you go to pull away, so if you're aiming to get out in front of some traffic, it's not something that I'm comfortable with, so I just leave it so that the stop start, it doesn't stop when you pull up and come to a standstill at the lights. So disc brakes front and rear, and you've got the hydraulic reservoir here. The mirrors are very good. You've got hazards there which put all 4 flashes on in the electric start here. To start the bike, you have to flip up the side stand, and you have to hold in the rear brake. It's all safety measures, but it starts nicely. On here I bought a mobile phone holder. This is a dealer fitted option. Well, actually I bought it from the dealer and I fitted it myself. Absolutely rock solid, brilliant. It's adjustable up and down, and you can put any size of, pretty much any size of mobile phone, possibly even a small note or something like that in there as well. I don't think you get a tablet in there. And on the left here, yeah, you've got your left reservoir. I've got a second phone holder here. This is the one I went with originally, but I've really never used it. Your high beam, low beam, horn, and your indicators left and right. And we'll come to the display here. So it's an all electronic display. I'm not sure how visible that is, but you've got a total distance, time, day, date, fuel left, air temperature. It says it's 40 degrees C right now, but I think that's because I'm on the tarmac and in the sun. And speeds in kilometers an hour here in Thailand. It also shows you on the bottom there, I'm not sure whether this is showing up, there's a graph there, so you've got your instant fuel consumption, and it will give you a readout. If you've got the throttle hardly open, just cruising along, you're looking normally about between 40 and 50 kilometers to the litre. If you're gunning it, it'll go down to 20 odd. And there's various selections and set. You can also change this for average fuel consumption. Currently shows me 37.5, but I've just been around the city and I'm not sure when I last re-zeroed that. And the voltage of the battery as well, 12.1 volts, which reminds me the battery is a very small battery, typical Honda small battery, only 5 amp hour, and seems to do the job. But I've got a GPS tracker on here, and if I leave that connected all the time without using the bike for 5-6 days, it will flatten the battery. So I only typically connect the GPS when I'm out and about, and if it's in the garage at home, it's all safe and sound anyway. Various other lights on here. You've got indicator, battery charge, high beam, low beam, key thing there tells you whether it's the keys in unlock mode. There's a temperature gauge on there, there's an engine management light on there, and there's A there, which is for the stop start on, and there's the ABS light. The ABS light goes off normally after you've done about 10 meters. So that's the controls on it, which are very good, very straightforward, typical Honda, very easy to use. Indicators, you know, quite bright, not bad at all. I mentioned the lights already. Let's go back around this side again. There's no kickstart on the bike. I guess that's one of the things. The battery did go flat the other day, and I actually had a little battery charge and charged it up. So the running boards are good, very comfortable. Put your feet at the front or even up there if you're on a longer cruise. The seat here is quite comfortable, even good for the passenger on the back. Let's get down to the shocks and everything on the back. So these are Showa standard fitment gas shocks. There is no adjustment, but they are very firm and they really do hold the road very well. You've got your radiator on the side here, the exhaust good, nice and quiet. Single pot disc brake on the back, no ABS on the back, but it works very well. I've never had it lock up, but it's plenty powerful enough. Rear tyres are 13-inch rear tyre. The ones that come with the bike as OEM equipment are they're a bit more blocky on the pattern. I've just had these put on. These are Pirelli City Angel tyres, because the reality is you're rarely ever going to go off-road on it, and I'd rather the old ones handled really well, but these should be a little bit better. Never had it slide or anything, but I had a puncture on the old one and it was constantly leaking after the repair, so I decided after 8,500 miles to get a new set of tyres, and so far these are great. But as you can see, I haven't even worn off the rubber mouldings yet. Rear, you've got your LED lights in here, indicators the same, pretty standard fitment really. On the top here, I actually went for the option to fit the rack on the back, so I have a GV box which goes on here. It's like a suitcase box, and it's great for touring because you can just unclip it, lift it off and take it into the hotel with you. And again, that's got overhanging lips on it which keep it completely dry inside. Anything you put inside the box will stay dry. This rack comes as a dealer fitted option from Honda, and that's worked out really good. I mean, it's really strong and sturdy, incredible. So round to the other side, got the transmission down here, air intake, not much else to see really. The belt's constant variable transmission, so you're always in the right gear to go. And I have had some modifications done to it recently, and I'll add those in at the very end of the video. And you know, 2 passengers, very sturdy, comfortable. Foot pegs there, fold up nicely. You've got a center stand here, and you've got a side stand. So now I've got the bike up on the center stand, I just thought I'd start it up and you can see what it sounds like. So we'll turn that one on, and it starts nice and smooth. Too loud. I've had some modifications done to it recently where they have changed the exhaust a little bit, but it's still not loud at all. The modifications really have made it a lot more responsive. That's the Honda ADV150, and that's the 2020 model. Very happy with it. It's been a super bike. Not to everyone's taste. Some of you like to do 160k everywhere, but the top speed I've had out of this is about 117, and I think it's got a rev limiter on it that stops it from going any faster, but it's plenty fast enough. Great power, great acceleration, especially through the corners of the Mae Hong Son loop up in northern Thailand. Absolute great fun. Late on the brakes in, good suspension, because it's auto, it's straight on the power coming out of the corner. Great fun, not too fast. If you did it on a bigger bike, you'd be worried about overcooking it, but on this one, just open it right up and keep going. Brilliant. So pricing on it, this one I paid 99,000 baht brand new at the beginning of February 2020. Dealer fitted options of the box and the rack came to a few thousand baht. Registration, which the dealer did for me, very straightforward, and that was, I don't know, 1,000 baht or whatever added on top, but you know, you'd have to pay that whatever bike wherever you were. I found the registration process very easy. A couple of days and it was registered, got a white plate on it straight away. I did insist on that with a dealer. I have all the paperwork necessary to register a bike in my own name here, so that was very easy. Even surprised the dealer, I think, how easy it was. Got all the documents and all the details insurance wise. So there's your annual registration there. That comes with very limited third-party cover should you injure somebody bodily. If you scrape alongside a BMW or a Mercedes-Benz or something like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, then you could be in deep expensive trouble. Consequently, I took out first class separate insurance, and I carry that policy with me all the time. Forget the name of the company. There we are, MSIG, and they've got a claims hotline there. I believe you call that number if you have a problem, and they'll actually come right out to the scene, and they'll take down all the details and they'll handle any claim for you. My worry was two things. Was with Bangkok traffic, and there's a lot of expensive cars there. Last thing I wanted to do was be held liable for scratching or denting a car. And the other thing was medical coverage. Many travel insurance policies, for those that come to Thailand on travel insurance, be very careful to read your policy. Some will exclude all motorcycle use, some will put a limit. The one I was using had a limit of 125cc. Beyond that, no coverage. So that's the reason why I wanted to get full coverage, first class insurance. And the insurance for the whole year was only about 8,000 baht for a whole year, first class, maybe seven something, I believe. Very straightforward to deal with. Company emailed it all over, documents look good, and they were recommended to me by a friend. So definitely recommend first class insurance. That covers an element of theft as well. For first 2 or 3 years, I think they'll give you a theft claim, and they don't devalue the bike too much. It's a set amount they'll pay out. So yeah, that was the insurance. Definitely recommend getting that first class coverage. MSIG is the company, and you can look that up online. Earlier I mentioned some upgrades that I'd had done to the bike. Now, I had read and been recommended that there was a company that would make some changes that would give the bike a bit more power and make it a bit more responsive. So I contacted the company, a gentleman named Odd, and the company name was Set by Sar, and they're on Chok Chai 4 road, just north of Lat Prao in Bangkok. Asked him what he could do with the ADV, and he gave me a range of options and prices. Decided to take the bike to him, and he made the modifications. So what did he do? So first of all, side here you've got the V-belts, and they are spring loaded with weights, and it's got a rubber band in there basically that drives the bike. They do a modification to those drive pulleys in there that I believe it engages them a lot quicker, and it changes the gearing very slightly. Whatever they've done, I have to say it really is great. And the second thing that they did, I'll show you from this side, is, if you can see it in here, just in here, they've increased the throttle body size. This was a plastic tube that was here, and they've now put a stainless steel welded tube in there, which apparently it's bigger. It's a bigger diameter. So they've done that. I'm not sure if they've done anything in the box. I haven't taken the cover off. So this is the air filter box. I'll have a look in there sometime and see if they've done anything in there, but you can see it here, and they've done a neat job on it. Actually, I have to say I'm very impressed. And it's got a blue rubber connection there where it goes into the throttle housing. Now the throttle itself is all fuel injected, so it's always going to take care of the right mixture for the ambient temperature and the load on the bike and the throttle opening and so on. So that was the second thing they did. And the third thing they did for me as part of this package was an improvement on the exhaust. I was a bit worried because I really didn't want a screaming loud exhaust, and he assured me it wouldn't make a lot of difference in terms of noise, but would boost the power. So to aid the airflow through the engine and allow it to rev easier, they changed the downpipe of the exhaust, and they put it in stainless steel. It's a slightly bigger diameter than the standard one. I'd say it's probably 30% bigger. I'll put the camera underneath and we'll see if you can see where it goes up into the engine there. Maybe a bit tricky, but they put that stainless on, and what they've done, they've kept the original silencer box here. They've done nothing to the silencer box, and they've braze welded the stainless to the existing box here, and by all intents it looks like they've done a great job. The weld quality looks good, the finish looks good. Time will tell if it cracks, but I don't think it will. It looks like they've done a great job on there, and that's the third modification. And in terms of performance, I have to say it's awesome. It really is. With the gearing and the power, it just feels like it's on the boil all the time, because the CVT, constant variable transmission of the gearing, it's almost like it's almost on the power always. So you just have to open the throttle and off you go. It's instant. It's so much more responsive than it was previously, and the 0 to 60 times just seem to be so much better. The pickup and go, the acceleration, it's dramatically different. It really is. It makes riding the bike a whole lot more responsive. Top speed, I've only had one chance to open it up, and that was today, and it got up to 117 kilometers an hour on the highway really quickly. I didn't really want to take it any faster. It would have probably maybe got another 4 or 5 kilometers on top, but plenty fast enough. But it's the speed that it got to, that top speed, that was what really impresses me about it. And also with the, I mentioned on the other video, the enhancement with the forks that they did. It's a proper ADV150 kit that Set by Saar has developed, and they gave me there's some slider tubes that go down inside. They replace those with tubes that have slightly smaller valves in, which means the oil passes through a little bit slower, and therefore the damping is just a little bit better. It doesn't move quite so fast up and down. The springs are still the same, the quantity and the viscosity of the oil is still the same, but it's just the speed that the oil can move through the suspension. It just damps it down a little bit better, and it is improvement. It's not too hard, it's not, and it's definitely not as soft as it was previously. Those were, I think they were very good investment. People have asked, is the suspension too soft on the front? I'd say it probably was a little bit, but in riding it was fine, you know, even on the corners, but this will just make it a little bit firmer. Well, I think I've covered pretty much everything. The modifications I'm very happy with, so I definitely recommend Set by Saar. I hope you like my description of the ADV150 from here in Bangkok, Thailand. Again, if you've got any questions or comments, then please feel free to add them below, and I'll do my best to answer them. I think I covered pretty much everything, but I'm sure there's something I forgot. Once again, very happy with the bike. You've seen all the different features of it. Thanks for watching.